The first time the midnight caller called, I was asleep. I woke up to the sound of my phone ringing, and I groggily answered it. "Hello," I said. "Hello," the voice on the other end said. "Is this your name?" "Yes," I said. "Who is this?" "I'm the midnight caller," the voice said. "I'm calling to tell you that you're going to die." I hung up the phone and lay there in bed, my heart pounding. I didn't know what to think. Was this a prank call? Or was it something more sinister? I didn't sleep well that night. The next day, I told my friends about the call, but they didn't believe me. They thought I was just imagining things. But then the calls started again. Every night, at midnight, the same voice would call and tell me that I was going to die. I started to get scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to tell the police, because I didn't think they would believe me. So I started to investigate on my own. I tried to find out who the midnight caller was, but I couldn't find any information. The calls continued for weeks. I was starting to lose my mind. I was afraid to go to sleep at night. I was afraid to be alone. One night, I decided that I had had enough. I wasn't going to let the midnight caller control my life anymore. I waited until the phone rang at midnight. When it did, I picked it up and said, "I'm not afraid of you anymore." There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. Then the voice said, "You should be afraid." "Why should I be afraid?" I asked. "You're just a voice on the phone." "I'm not just a voice on the phone," the voice said. "I'm real, and I'm going to kill you." I hung up the phone and threw it across the room. I was so angry and scared. I didn't know what to do. I decided to call the police. I told them about the calls, and they promised to investigate. The next day, the police came to my house. They asked me a lot of questions about the calls. They also took my phone to have it analyzed. A few days later, the police called me back. They said that they had found nothing on my phone. They told me that they didn't believe that the calls were real. I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was going crazy. The calls continued for a few more weeks. Then they stopped. I don't know why they stopped, but I'm glad they did. I'm still not sure who the midnight caller was or what they wanted. But I'm glad that they're gone. I've learned a lot from this experience. I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I've also learned that I can't let fear control my life. I'm not afraid of the midnight caller anymore. I know that they can't hurt me. I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. I'm sleeping better, and I'm not as afraid to be alone. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know that I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to let the midnight caller win. man. I found out his name, and I found out where he lived. I also found out that he had a criminal record. He had been convicted of assault and battery. I went to the police, and I told them what I had found out. They didn't believe me at first, but I eventually convinced him to investigate. The police searched the man's house, and they found a phone that matched the description of the one that had been used to call me. They also found a recording of one of the calls. The recording was clear enough to hear the man's voice. It was the same voice that had called me every night. The police arrested the man, and he was charged with harassment. He was eventually convicted and sentenced to jail time. I was relieved that the man was finally caught. I had been living in fear for months, and I was finally able to start to heal. I learned a lot from this experience. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I also learned that I can't let fear control my life. I'm not afraid of the Midnight Caller anymore. I know that he can't hurt me. I'm finally starting to feel like